Instability tells us that markets and economies are not stable. We shouldn't expect a linear growth in markets or economics. So we have a very volatile economic environment, we have a volatile market environment. And that helps us to understand that we shouldn't expect things to always go up. Sometimes they'll go down, and we'll cycle through economic seasons.
We live in an unstable world. There are so many factors that come into play that allow an economy to work, to allow a culture to work, to allow things to happen geopolitically. And given the multitude of those factors, it's impossible to know how things are going to play out.
Great example in terms of instability and a longer-term perspective is going back. Ron Blue does this great talk where he goes back to 2002, and you're coming out of 9/11, you're in the middle of the tech bubble, right? It's about 10 years ago. You go back to 1992, you're in the first Gulf War, we're in the middle of a recession, you've got a new president. Going back to 82, runaway interest rates, you're in the middle of another recession, banking crisis is looming. 72. So going back in history, you can see that uncertainty has always been with us.
You could have the surest investment in the world, but because of instability, because of the uncertainty of even man and man's structures, you have to diversify. And so you have to spread out your investment risk so that you can deal with the instability of markets.
If you think that variability, that volatility is the only risk factor, then you're going to invest in mortgages. You're going to invest in real estate because it hasn't varied much. Until it does. It doesn't vary much until it does. Just because something hasn't had a lot of volatility in the past doesn't mean it won't have volatility in the future.
Instability requires us to keep on top of what's going on in the world all the time. It requires us to look at economics to know where we're cycling, so that we look and understand that things are not always going to be stable. They're not always going to be the same.
We have a construction that acknowledges that things can change very quickly in markets. Things can change very quickly in the investing landscape, and helping people to think through that and prepare for that. So yeah, again, it gets back to diversification and a soberness about the events that can occur.
We can't focus on trying to control that and trying to make it stable. So we have to think about what are the things we can control. And that would mean we should diversify our assets and spread out risk as far as we can. And then let's try to manage risk by allocating our wealth strategically and investing our long-term money with some calculated risk, but being more cautious with money that we would need sooner than later.